Hi, I'm Margie, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I've made some peanut bars. These are jam-packed with just plain peanuts. They're salted cocktail peanuts, but you can use anything in this recipe. You can use cashews, mixed nuts. You can really do anything. You can even dip this in chocolate if you like. So I'm going to get started right away and show you how to do this. This is the pan I'm using to pour the bars into, and I cut a piece of parchment paper like I often do. This was a full sheet of parchment paper, and I just placed my pan down on top of it. I cut it in half, and I just cut into I lifted it up and I just cut another 1/2 inch in each corner, and go ahead and just push that down into the pan, and you'll be all set to pour your candy. Now, once I pour the candy in here, I'm going to place this parchment over it and place this on top so I can press the candy out and not burn my fingers. This is a 1-quart heavy bottom pan, and I'm going to put my water in. That's 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. That's 2 cups of granulated sugar, and this is 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Just going to go ahead and pour that, get that in there. So I have all the ingredients to cook in the pot, but after that's cooked to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter, about 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla, and this is an overflowing 2 cups of cocktail peanuts that have been salted. This is what I used. And I actually used the whole can, and it says that's 1 pound of peanuts. I usually cook my candy on a pretty high temperature, and I just focus on getting it stirred in there without getting the candy on the side of the pot. As many recipes will tell you to use a brush with some water on the sides. I don't often do that, but I'll do that here because some people have been telling me they've been having a little trouble getting this recipe to work. Now, you don't want this to come to a boil until all the sugar is melted. Here I do have my water and my little brush. So I'm going to use the paintbrush, and I'm going to just go around the side of the pot. Now, you think you're adding water to this, and of course you are, but the temperature is not going to come to the like 320 until all the water is boiled off. So if you add more water, it might just take another minute or a few seconds actually to bring it to temperature. You see how it's cloudy? When it starts to boil, it's going to be clear. So this is just starting to come to a boil, and I went around it again with the brush. Now it's going to boil up, and when it comes down, you'll see how it'll be clear. This is a Taylor thermometer, and it has centigrade and Fahrenheit. Now you want that little red bowl to be underneath the liquid that's boiling. And if you have trouble doing that, getting it under there, now I'm not having trouble here. I know it looks like I'm having trouble, but okay, once I get this poured down, okay, that ball is under, but if you have trouble getting the ball under, what you can do is you can lay it this way. You just have to pick it up and look at it more frequently because you can't see it from the top. So you see how it's clear now? We're just going to let that cook to 320. My liquid that's cooking is so low, it's covering that little bulb, but I'm just going to put it this way just to be sure because it's just barely covering it. Temperature is very important when you're making candy. I cut my butter up a little bit because it was very cold. Now you don't need to stir this, and I'm checking it, it's almost up to 280. When it starts getting higher up, it's going to go more quickly, so be careful. Now it's 310. And it's almost 320. I don't know if you can see that. The candy is not getting dark. Okay, it's now 320. So I'm going to take out the thermometer. I'm going to turn off my burner. I'm adding my butter. I'm going to add my vanilla. It's about 1/8 of a teaspoon. And now I'm going to add the nuts and start to stir them in right away. Try to get them all coated. And I'm just going to pour them into my pan. I'm using a little bit bigger pan here. I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit rather than putting it into a big blob in the center. That might help me get a little thinner bar. Even if it doesn't meet in the middle somewhere, that'll be fine. Now this is where I take my parchment paper, set it on top, and I'm going to press it down with this thing here. This is the only thing. I know some people were saying they were having trouble making it, but this is the only real change that I've actually made to the recipe is using a little bigger pan. But I don't think that was the problem people were having. So if you start on the inside and work your way out, you're going to spread it a little thinner. It doesn't matter. You can actually have it thick. Okay. So that's all. I'm going to leave that to cool. I'm only going to let this cool for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and use a pizza cutter to cut it in the size that I want. If you wait too long, that's fine. You can just break it up. And if cutting it up is super important to you, what you want to do is use a timer because you will forget to come back. So 5 minutes. So the time is up, and this is what it looks like. I'm just gonna, I like my bars to be pretty narrow and more long. Okay, so I'm just going to let that cool, and I'll show you taking them out because you really want to wait for it to cool before you take them out. And you can sort of you lift this out and you drop it and all the pieces fall apart from each other. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to pick it up and give it a drop and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't go all over the floor. So there we go. It just still a little bit warm. But if you cut it first, you'll have these nice pieces. All right. So there we go. That's our peanut bar. And And I hope that this video helped some people, because I did have a few comments where people were having a little bit of trouble making this candy. And I just wanted to give it a try with you again. Bye.